every single parent who I thought was cool when I was in high school, in hindsight, was weird as fuck. And every single parent in high school who I thought was like a strict disciplinarian was so normal.
Yeah.
Midnight Milkshake.
Again, it was like those parents who would literally always like the house parties would always be at their house and they kind of liked it. You know what I mean?
No, and they like would play beer pong with the kids.
Yeah, they would play beer pong.
There was one family that I can think of in my hometown where the parents would famously host parties and play beer pong with the kids. And their son punched a police dog recently, and it was all over the local papers. And that's what I'm saying, though. I'm like, being a cool parent will lead to your children will be out of pocket, out of line.
Because guess what? If you're a high schooler, you don't want your parents to be cool.
No.
Like, especially if you're a high schooler who wants to go to parties, part of what's fun about the parties is like, you get in trouble if your parents find out. If your parents with you, then it's just like, well, then it's lame. Like, you're ruining it.
Also, you're making it so your kid can't experience like teenage rebellion.
So no wonder that kid is like, well, if my parents are cool with me drinking, the only way I can get any sort of reaction is to, what's that? Punch a police dog.
Yeah, really, truly. And I think so many kids these days too, because like, again, I think some boomer parents are really strict, but some definitely like they're a little bit too open in quotes. But I'm like, I think what kids want more than ever these days is to be told no. No. They want to be disciplined. Kids want to be spanked in the rump. Just kidding. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, why'd you get weird?
But they don't want lingerie from you.
They don't want Alabama Barker doesn't want lingerie from Travis Barker.
And they certainly don't want you to come downstairs to the basement, catch them and their friends drinking, and then join in. They don't want that.
They don't want that.
They don't want that.
Because you know what you don't want to hear? It's like you don't want to hear in high school, like, hey, dude, your dad's so cool.
You don't want that. You don't want any of your peers to think that your parents are cool. If your peers think your parents are cool, trouble is in store.
Yeah.
Trouble is in store. Not for you, because you don't get in trouble. But the other day, we were driving down the street, and you guys, I swear, I saw a homeless man wearing a sweater that I donated to Goodwill, and he looked so good in it. And you might be thinking, how do you know it was your sweater? It was like a really specific sweater, and it also, you could tell on him that it was a woman's cut, but he was very skinny. He looked great. But yeah, he looked so freaking chic in the sweater that I donated. And I'm glad he found it, of all people.
And that's making an impact.
And that's why give your clothes to Goodwill this holiday season.
Well, is the holiday season over?
I think the holiday season is considered from like Thanksgiving to New Year's, actually.
Can I be honest with you? I love this period between Christmas and New Year's Day. Yeah. It's a fantastic period.
A lot of people don't like it. So
I know, but I love it. Well, here's what I think the key is. You've got to, as soon as Christmas is over, you've got to leave your family.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of discourse about that, and it's correct. There is no such thing as a family visit that is the right amount of time.
That's so true.
There is no such thing.
It's always going to feel too long.
It's always going to feel too long.
And you can like make it shorter every year, and every year you'll be like, it needs to be shorter next year.
You can shorten it down to 20 minutes, and you're going to be like, oh, I got to cut it to 15.
Got to be 15 next year.
Got to be 15 next year.
Do you want to talk about being disrespected?
Okay, all right. We went home and we visited. We went back, visiting family for the holidays, which is, by the way, is always great. No notes, but here's some notes. Okay, the double standard when talking to older relatives always drives me insane, because when it comes time to like for them to talk to you about your life, there's no filter. There's no such thing as being rude. There's no such thing as a question that's too invasive. But meanwhile, you can't literally say a peep about anything going on with them.
No, extreme politeness and reservation is expected of you, and they can be so blunt and out of pocket, like holy freaking shars.
I literally at a family dinner in front of everyone, I had a relative say, "What do you even do for work?" B say, "I would never do any sort of business with you." And 3, just go, "How much money do you make per hour?" And then started listing off numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if I said that to you, the dinner's over.
Yeah.
If I looked over at my grandma, and it wasn't my grandma who asked me that, but if I looked over at my grandma and went, "Hey, how much money do you have anyway?"
Yeah.
The dinner's done.
The dinner's over.
But they can look at you and they'll be like,
"How much money do you have?
How much do you have in savings?"
And then they literally just go, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000. Stop me when I hit it. 14,000. Like they'll literally do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy and very rude.
Well, also, okay. Again, as I always say, it's like they'll ask questions that are insults inherently. They won't ever say stuff like "you're a loser," but relatives sometimes will look at you and be like, so, have you looked into like collecting tin cans out of recycling bins for just kind of some extra money? Yeah. And then you're like, I don't really think I need to do that. And they're like, oh, you don't need to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't win.
Yeah, well, you can't win.
You literally can't win.
You can't win.
Yeah. Also, the older generation, they're the ones who are all like, hey, no politics at the dinner table, no religion at the dinner table. Yeah, because those are the two things they don't want to talk about. But they all talk about things like, oh, I don't know, like every failure of yours or every choice you've ever made. Like, again, all bets are off.
But again, it doesn't go both ways.
It does not go both ways.
Because you can't ask them anything at all. And really, what do you want us to do, man?
Yeah.
Like it does seem like there is almost this taking the presence of the youth for granted that this older generation has.
Older people think that manners are only how other people talk to them.
Yes, that's so true.
They literally think manners are how other people respond to their invasive questions.
Yes.
And it is just like, you have good manners if you pretend not to care when older people are rude to you and ask invasive questions.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like older people love younger people who have no boundaries and have been beaten into submission by them.
Yes.
And that's who they consider to be polite.
But then also they don't, because then they don't even talk to those people.
Right. Because they don't actually care. Yeah. That's also it. They'll beat people into submission and then they will discard those people because they're like, well, that person's boring. Yeah. And then those of us who have stood our ground now become the target for just like the most insane, direct, aggressive lines of questioning that you could possibly imagine.
I'll get questions at family dinners that I'm like, no, like the CIA does not ask these questions.
No.
And then I'll answer and then they'll be like, wow. And they'll act like I didn't answer.
Yeah.
That's what I think of my family. I have answered every single question they've ever asked me 100 times.
Every rude, invasive one.
Every single one.
Every single rude, invasive one.
I've just answered it and then they act like, oh, I'm like a tough nut to crack.
But that's also what I think about boomers in general. It's I'm like, you can't, if you're honest with them, they assume that you're lying. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to win with a boomer because and again, I think it's projection because I think they're shady and withholding. And so they assume that you must be shady and withholding. And when you're just direct and forthcoming, they literally can't process it.
Yeah.
Like they ask you a question, you answer it directly. Their mind goes, surely there must be something they're hiding or they're lying.
Yeah.
What?
They assume there's always some like hidden ulterior motive.
They always assume there's a hidden ulterior motive or meaning.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can't talk to you. You're asking me a question. I'm answering it at face value.
Also, you're asking me a question that if literally crazy. I asked it to you, it's game over.
It's game over.
We're flipping the table.
Right.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Really excited.
Really hyped.
We're super.
Well, dude, but this also is like a general frustration I have with just family members in general. It's like sometimes they act like your life is a group project. They act like their life is like a work of art that they're sculpting in private, like in museum grounds behind thick bulletproof glass. And your life is just like a craft in the middle of like the kindergarten floor.
Well, they act like it's a sandcastle that they can come and kick over at their will. We can't get goddamn respect from these boomers. Yeah. That's the thing that's the thing. People are like, what's wrong with millennials? Millennials, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what's wrong with millennials is that we were raised by boomers. Yeah. Like, that's it. Also, people talk about how millennials are like, we're snowflakes, we're so sensitive. I'm like, dude, we were raised by some of the rudest people alive who also had insane rules for what was considered rude.
Which they made up. They made up the rude rules.
They made up the rude rules.
Yeah.
And again, there is no ruder generation than the boomers.
There is no ruder generation. They're also rude. They have terrible manners.
They're also rude in different ways. Like boomer men are rude in that they won't try to make conversation.
Dude, that is the worst.
In social settings, they have no social obligation.
Boomer men act like they have no role to play in a conversation. They literally act like that a conversation happening at the dinner table with them has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. And then boomer women are sneaky little plotters with agendas and schemes. Mm-hmm. And if you let them into your life, they will try to ruin it.
Yeah. And nothing is good enough.
And again, I'm not even saying this about any one boomer woman or any one boomer man. This is all of them. Like, that's how they roll.
Yeah.
Boomer women boomer women are always trying to find out what person or animal died so they can use it to get attention in a group chat. That's true.
Dude, I
have a joke about like how boomer women are addicted to violating HIPAA.
Yes, that's very true.
Where they like can't not tell you about your second cousin's ex-boyfriend's sister's medical condition.
Yeah.
Like they can't not tell you about that. That's what they think is a good share.
A boomer woman will lean over to you at a dinner table and say loud enough for the whole table to hear. It's like, you know, my son, he really was not good in school and his job is about to fire him and he's probably gonna have to move home. But then if I'm like, hey, aren't you going through a pretty brutal divorce right now? They're like, how dare you?
How dare you? You're so rude.
You're so rude.
Who raised you?
Yeah.
It's like your sister.
Dude, I'll say another thing about boomer women. They love taking every menu in every restaurant as a mere suggestion.
Oh my God. Boomer women in restaurants. Like, I'm like, should they be banned from restaurants? Should they be banned from restaurants? Do boomer women get to go to restaurants anymore? I would say here's my thing. If I was a server or I was someone who worked at a restaurant, I would literally have this person is not welcome here for every boomer woman who came in.
Every boomer woman has never just ordered off the menu one time in her life. No, because I've noticed this because I've gone to a bunch of different restaurants with a bunch of different boomer women and there's always like a question or a tweak or can you do this? And I'm like, I literally think it's like your instincts to manipulate is so heavy that you have to manipulate the waiter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to manipulate the chef.
And also it's like they tweak in special requests to high hell and then they're always disappointed still. It's like they'll order something that's not on the menu. The waiter will be like, okay, like we'll try to accommodate you. Like they'll literally order the most insane shit you've ever heard of. And then when it comes to the table, they literally look at it and they go, it's like that's what you asked for. That's what you asked for.
We were at just like a bakery and my mom asked my dad to order her oatmeal with berries. Not on the menu, not something they offer. My dad got it for her, brought it back, and it was oatmeal with kind of little diced up strawberries on top. And my mom went like this. Like she shot me a look. I'm like, aren't they weird? It's like you ordered something off the menu.
That's literally what you ordered. Also, that is what you ordered to a T. What could have been different?
Yeah.
What could have been better about it? Why are you disappointed?
Also, you were entitled to nothing. This doesn't exist on the menu. So you ordered something that you had no reason to believe you would get. You got a pretty good, decent version of it. And then you're like judging them like they didn't meet your standard.
This also reminds me of this time my mom would always say this when I was younger. She goes, you know, any restaurant, you can go in and you can just ask them for a crudité platter and they'll just chop you up some raw vegetables and like any restaurant could do this. Any restaurant could do this. I say this one time like casually when I'm out to dinner with my friends. I go, you know, you can just order. Sorry. You know, you can just order a crudité platter. Like you can just ask them to chop you up some vegetables. And I swear to God, all three of the friends I'm with look at me and they go, no, Dana, that's fucking stupid. That's so rude. That's so fucking rude. Like the waiter will be pissed at you. And like one of my friends like who worked at like so many restaurants was always just like every time I'd say something that my mom had said about restaurants, she would be like, Dana, no, you can't do that. They will fucking hate you. They will spit in your food. Do not do that. You cannot do that.
Also, that is the classic boomer woman thing. I'm like, you know you can. Because most people will be like, well, if doing this would inconvenience the waiter and the staff and set everyone up for a weird vibe and myself for personal disappointment, that to most people would mean we can't.
I can't.
That means we can't.
It's going to throw the vibes off. It's going to make people mad at me. Like, I can't then. But it's like, no. But I can.
It's physically possible.
Well, you have vegetables back there. Why can't you just chop them up for me? Well, because it completely like disrupts the flow of our chefs, and that's really not how we do things here. But you can. But you have the vegetables, so you can chop them up. They don't want to.
It is like boomer women. Like again, it's like being like, you know, you can walk into any restaurant and ask the waiter to blow you a kiss and sing you a little song. Yeah, you can ask them to do that. It won't go over well.
But here's the thing. I think that's what we're getting at. Is like boomers will have the most audacious requests, but then how they determine if you're polite or not is if you just bend to their insane whim.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not impolite because you asked me the most out-of-pocket question or you made the most out-of-pocket request of me and I said no or I like didn't want to answer your question. That doesn't make me rude. You were rude first.
Yeah. You were rude first.
You were rude first.
You're rude.
You're rude.
Also, I do think boomers literally think they're incapable of being rude.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I think they're incapable of being rude.
Well, I think it's because, like we said, they think they made up the rules of rude.
Yeah.
And the rules are I can never be rude, and anyone who doesn't act like I'm being really nice is rude.
Well, first of all, here's the thing. If I were making up the rules, I'd say I think we should be allowed to curse because I think that's how people talk. You should be able to be like, hey, what the fuck is this? But I don't curse when I'm at the table with the boomers because I'm like, this is their world.
They don't like it.
They don't like it.
Right.
But then I'm like, even by your rules, though, you're being rude.
Yes.
Because again, I straight up had a relative be like, how much money do you make?
That's rude by boomer rules.
That's rude by your rules.
So why do you get to ask that?
Yeah.
Why do you get to ask? You made up the rules and you're breaking your own rules, and then I'm rude for what? I'm rude for what?
Yeah. And also think, because if they were like, how much money do you make? And I was like, oh, get the fuck out of here. They'd be like, hey, language.
Language. They would be like language.
It's like you're making the rules.
They'll always find something. You'll bring up a very valid complaint, or you'll try to address behavior that you don't like in a way that's like, complex and nuanced and thoughtful and considerate. And they will just zero in on the tiniest innocuous detail of something that you did wrong, so they can never deal with the thing you brought up.
Well, you could literally be like, hey, I think that that stuff you said to me at dinner was like really rude. It made me kind of uncomfortable. And they'd be like, well, I think I'm allowed to talk at the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
right,
like, well,
exactly.
Wait, I'm not.
Right. They're like, I think I'm allowed to ask the waiter a question.
I can ask the waiter a question.
Also, they always say this to people, like, well, though he could say no if he wants to say no. No, but he can't say no. Like, that's also the thing. It's like they'll make these crazy requests and they'll go, well, you could have said you didn't want to. No, I couldn't have. No, I couldn't have. Not without you being so freaking weird.
Well, they're like, yeah, you can ask the waiter this question, and all that would happen is the waiter would literally have the light leave their eyes a little bit. It's like, well, then you can't ask the question.
If you're putting out the waiter's light in his eyes, then you can't ask it.
And also, again, boomer women, they order off menu, and I'm like, you don't even want what you ordered. You just want to watch people scurry. And again,
you just want to feel powerful.
And it's like I'm letting boomer men off the hook. Here's the thing. Boomer men won't even participate. Boomer men, at least...
They've checked out.
Here's the thing. I would rather have a boomer woman be like, how much money do you make? What's going on with you? Show me your bank account. What's your PIN number? Where do you sleep? Can I put a camera in your bedroom?
Yeah.
What are you doing? But then boomer men will just be like, silent. Like, they think their role is just...
Yeah. But again, I think that is low-key a response to boomer women.
Oh, I think it's both.
I think it
does go both ways.
Yes.
It does go both ways.
Boomer women are this way because boomer men are that way. And boomer men are that way because boomer women are this way. And millennials are... Look, I am like, no, for sure, we're all like kind of like weak losers. But that's what our parents wanted us to be.
Yeah.
That's the way our parents raised us to be.
Well, I sincerely think, again, my hot take that I've shared before is I think boomers secretly love it when their kids are losers.
Yes.
I think they pretend to because boomers are super competitive with their own children. They're really competitive with their own children.
And really jealous of their children.
So they also, all they talk about with their friends is what losers their kids are. My kid still lives at home.
My kid's schizophrenic. My kid tried to kill themselves last week. Yeah. My kid got fired from Urban Outfitters for licking the socks. Like, what? And then it's like they say it like, I don't know.
Because then they feel good about themselves and it's like, hey, I might be in a loveless marriage and I might not have felt joy in 30 years, but I didn't get fired from Urban Outfitters for licking the socks.
At least I'm not licking socks.
Yeah. And again, when things are going well for their kids, that's why they ask so many like clarifying questions because they're trying to find an angle.
They can't believe that you're doing well.
Yeah, they're trying to find an angle that undermines anything that might be going okay. Yeah. They have to find like a new take.
They have to find a way that somehow the success that you've managed to accrue for yourself is somehow wrong, bad, or fake.
Also, my parents also like I will just answer every single question my family asks me so directly, and they still act like I'm like living this life of shadow and mystery.
Yes, right.
Like someone asked me like, oh, like, hey, where are you living these days or whatever? And then my mom went almost like as if I couldn't hear it. She goes, I have a picture of where he lives. Why does she have a picture? Because I gave her my address and she Googled. And it came up on Google Maps. And she acts like she somehow did some sort of like Mission Impossible style sleuth mission to get this information. I just gave it to you.
Well, we also talk about this. It's like boomers don't want to hear anything from you. They want to like find it out on their own. Like they only are interested in you insofar as they can quote unquote dig up dirt on you.
Yeah.
But I always talk about this story where when I was in third grade, I would beg my mom to like listen to me talk about my problems with the girls at school. I had a lot of problems with the girls at school, dare I say, because probably I was fucking autistic. And I just had a lot of like, I really could not figure out socially what was going on. No one liked me. My friends were constantly like, icing me out and then like letting me back in as a joke. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I just really wanted someone to talk about this with. And my mom would not listen to me. And so I started writing about my problems in my journal. And my mom finds my journal, reads my journal, and tells me that I write really self-pityingly. What? I'm like, yeah, because you won't just listen to me talk about like my problems with my friends, which is like really difficult and makes school really isolating and challenging to attend. But as I always say, you don't want to hear from the horse's mouth. You want to read it in the horse's journal.
Yeah. You want to act like, again, this is the funniest thing too, because like we have public social medias.
Yeah.
My family will act like stuff they saw on my public social media that in many cases went viral and has like millions of impressions is like a secret they uncovered. And it's like, no, it's public. Also, it's the funniest thing in the world, specifically for me, when my family, like they always act like they like don't have like a handle on what I'm up to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there is literally more like publicly available content of me than most popes.
Most
Famous people in history.
It's easier to find out what Robert is up to than most popes.
There is more video of me posted on the internet every single day than there is footage of Woodrow Wilson, a president.
That's so true. There is way more footage of you than Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah.
And that yet they're not asking, what's Woodrow up to?
Yeah, again, there is legitimately more like footage, like public at your fingertips. You can open up your phone and consume more Robert Schultz than there is like of like Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
And all of my older relatives, they act like they've got Churchill down. They love Winston Churchill. You know what's crazy is I didn't know this, but Winston Churchill, like all of his speeches had titles. Like Blood and Boil, and like he had like kind of dramatic titles for his speeches. And I was thinking about how that's a lot like my TikToks. Yes.
And Winston Churchill's speeches were a lot like my TikToks. I just thought that the other day.
My on my mom's side of the family, like they're like Irish, like legitimately from Ireland. They hate Winston Churchill.
Oh, because
he was apparently really bad to the Irish. I think Winston Churchill was actually pretty evil in every way except for he fought Hitler.
Well, but he was super evil famously in that regard too, because he apparently ignored all of the pleas to help fight Hitler for as long as possible.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, sorry, can't hear you. Yeah. Until he couldn't be like, sorry, can't hear you. Oh, you're breaking up. I'm in a tunnel.
Yeah.
That was Winston Churchill for a really long time.
Yeah. The French were like, can you come help us fight Hitler? He's like, no, why would I do that?
Why I do that? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Yeah. Keep calm, carry on.
Keep calm, carry on.
Hangs up. Wait, okay.
And then Hitler shows up outside of England. He's like, hey, where'd you come from?
Where'd you come from?
This is two people, by the way, who have like a really loose understanding of World War II.
Totally. And I mean, I missed the unit because I was in the mental hospital.
I'm pretty sure I got the gist. I mean.
Okay. I want to talk about, because we're talking about how boomer women love to spy on you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when I first moved to LA, really lost, didn't have that much going on. And I emailed a bunch of different private investigators asking if I could assist them. And one lady got back to me. It was this woman who goes by the brand name She Catches Cheaters.
That's the name of her business. Yeah,
that was her business name. Her business name was She Catches Cheaters. You can find her on Yelp. And she emails me back like almost immediately after I sent out this round of emails being like, hi, I'm Dana Donnelly. Like, I'm really interested in private investigation. Like, I'd love to offer you like my assistance at no charge, like just to kind of get some experience in the field. Again, I just do this on like a day where I'm like really bored. And she emails me back immediately and she's like, be at this place at 3 p.m. And I literally like just like freaked out because I was just like, okay, like I don't know. And I literally was like, I'm not available today, but I could be there tomorrow. I could do anything you need me to do tomorrow. And she literally emails back, tomorrow too late, now or never. And then I never heard from her again. But that was like kind of a glimpse. That was an alternate timeline in which I was the assistant to a lady who went by She Catches Cheaters.
If you had just dropped everything and gone, that's a whole different day.
I know. That's a whole different arc for me. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, yeah.
And I'm like, that does make me think about like the multiverse, where I'm like, there is another reality in which I was like, all right.
But I guess in her defense, that is the ultimate test to be like, are you built for this line of work? Because if you're trying to catch a cheater, you can't be like,
you can't be like, tomorrow tomorrow.
You can't be like, oh, can you actually cheat?
She literally was like, I need you here at 3. And I was like, I don't want to. And I didn't want to bad enough. The PI life was not yet for me.
Well, because again, with the PI life, you can't be like, oh, I'm trying to catch a cheater. Like, hey, can the cheater actually cheat tomorrow at 3?
Can you cheat tomorrow? It's better for my schedule. It's not about my schedule. It's about catching these damn cheaters. Anyway, I hope she's well. But she is. She's probably catching cheaters.
Yeah.
Out there catching cheaters.
This is like one gripe that I have, which is like, dude, families who take like outdoor vacations love to act like they're so much more like sophisticated and evolved. But it's like, dude, then like people who like go on like resort beach vacations, I'm like, dude, the outdoors vacations are actually like way more like expensive. Like that, my family always acted like, oh, we're somehow like being more like simple and down to earth by going camping instead of just like going to the beach. I'm like, dude, going to camping, you have to like buy so much more gear and it's so much more of a thing. It actually is so much more of like a ritual.
Also, trail dirt is sand dirt.
Yes.
They're both just dirt. We're all just going to the dirt. Why can't we go to the dirt where they already have a chair for me there?
Yeah.
And also it's sunny out and they'll bring me chicken tenders to my chair.
Well, the people
it's not significantly less expensive to go camping than it is to go to an all-inclusive beach resort in Cabo or Jamaica. It's just not.
People who act like, hey man, we're not about that kind of highfalutin, like putting on airs life of going to the beach. We're just gonna go out into the woods. Proceeds to spend $2,000 at REI.
No, literally. Dude, these people be spending so much money on REI. And I'm like, how about we just go have a pina colada?
Yeah.
Why do I need to get like my own small boiler?
Yeah.
And a big backpack and a mosquito net? I'm like, I don't want to spend my money on a mosquito net. I just want a daiquiri.
I want
and
a
a little
daiquiri.
sunshine.
Also, guess what? Outside by the beach and outside in the woods are the same outside.
It's the same outside.
It's both outside.
And again, but camping people, they act like they're saving money. I would really, and here's my postulation. Maybe families who camp, I'm like, maybe you're worse with money because if you actually added it up, you'd see how much cheaper it was to just go to Sandals in Jamaica.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to go to Sandals.
It probably is cheaper to go to
Sandals. And your kids will like you more in the long run.
Yeah. Well, there is an entire class of parent who thinks the goal of vacation is to break their children.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I got broken on many a vacation.
I got totally broken on many
I
vacations.
got pummeled. So okay, this is also it. If we go on a 5-day vacation, I can't be crying for 3 of those days.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Why are you trying to make me cry for the majority of the vacation? And that's the only way that you feel like it was a successful vacation is if I cried for 3 of the 5 days.
Yeah. And by the
You're
way,
sick.
every time I went on a beach vacation or like a resort vacation, I was a blast. I had a great time.
So much fun.
Every time you made me hike, I was whining and complaining.
Yeah.
And then they'd be
and
like,
then you'd be like, you're whining and complaining. No, you put me in a situation in which whining and complaining was the only logical response.
yes.
No, I remember this too. One time we went to Hawaii and we were there for 5 days and I had like a beautiful time. Like I just laid out by the beach, by the pool. I was having a great time. My mom, day 3 is like, I'm so bored. There's nothing to do here. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's a you thing.
Well,
that's a you thing.
In general, I think boomers were our parents boomers. So they count as boomers.
Our parents
right?
are the young, in the same way that we are the youngest millennials, our parents are the youngest boomers.
Okay. I think boomers have been conditioned to be embarrassed by their own joy. They avoid joy.
Oh my God, that's so
They think that
real.
if something brings you joy, it has to somehow be immature or shameful.
Yes. Well, also they think that maturity is learning how to suppress your urge to seek out joy.
Yeah.
No. Maybe it's like rooted in Catholic guilt or something.
Yeah. I think probably.
Maybe it's because they were like a generation. They're not a more religious generation, but I think they were a generation that was raised more religious.
Well, because again, I think that they literally went for the self-flagellation. It's like they went to jobs they hate, they went to a church they didn't enjoy, and then their vacation time they would spend on vacations that they didn't like. And then they wondered why it's not going well.
You're supposed to like your life, and you're supposed to be making choices that make you happy.
And again, you would, if I said this to like, like my parents on like a camping vacation, they'd be like, well, you're spoiled or whatever. And I'm like, no, but this is what I'm trying to say.
Like
the fun vacation and the shitty vacation cost the same.
They cost the same.
There's no like.
Why are we choosing the shitty one?
You can just choose the good one.
But again, I think it's because it's a generation that also they consider themselves martyrs.
Yeah.
But people also postulate this. I've seen a lot of like boomer theorizing because again, we're not the only people who be thinking about boomers. And one of the theories is that boomers actually had the easiest lives that any generation, American boomers had it easier than any big group of people have ever had it.
Yeah.
Basically, they had so many government subsidies that were in effect while they were there. They had low interest home loans. They had cheap college. They had, like everything was a lot easier for the boomers than it has been for literally any generation in history. And so because of that, they feel like they have to martyr themselves and somehow, again, invent suffering that matches the privilege they've experienced.
Yes.
Which we always talk about in general is something that every privileged person or a lot of privileged people do is they invent suffering that somehow justifies their exceptional circumstances. And it's like, no, sometimes you're just lucky.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just in good circumstances and that's awesome. And you don't have to retroactively invent how much you suffered to have privilege and abundance.
Well, again, the hardest thing for anyone to admit is that just like, oh yeah, I just got kind of lucky and it worked
pretty
out.
Lucky. Life is good. I'm really blessed. Good. Why can't you just admit that? I'm really blessed. Life is good. Well, I had a really low interest home loan.
It's important for boomers to be like, that's why they have to be like, they hate work.
Yeah.
Because they can't be like, yeah, I got to work to pay for my house, but I love my house and I love my job. Yeah. It's got to be like, I've got to pay for this house and it's the roof has got to be fixed and my boss is on my ass. They have to
pretend like they're not enjoying it because maybe then, if they don't pretend like they're not enjoying it, you'll realize how they've hoarded resources from you. Like, yeah, how do I say that? Boomers have to pretend that they're unhappy so millennials don't notice how they're hoarding all the wealth.
Yeah, they want millennials to look at boomers and go like, man, they have way more than I do.
But they work a lot harder and clearly they're suffering for it. Yeah. Also, I'm like, no, they're suffering for the sake of suffering. And we all see it.
And by the way, when boomers see millennials who don't suffer, that's why they're trying to either inflict suffering upon them or somehow prove that their joy is fake.
Exactly. Nuff said.
Enough said.
Enough said.
And that's how we're going to sign off every podcast episode. Enough said.